DoorDash driver had his kids in the car while online driving for DoorDash. The van was stolen, kids were kidnapped. But there's a lot more to this story in the aftermath, and that's what we're going to be talking about right now. Hey everyone, Chris here for the Rideshare Guy, and today we're going to be talking about the story that's coming out of San Francisco, where a DoorDash delivery driver was driving and delivering with his children in the car. The car got stolen where his kids were kidnapped. Thankfully, they are okay. Nothing happened. They were checked out. Everything's good. And they were reunited with their parents. But we're going to be talking about some of the aftermath of this. Meaning, can you have people in the car? Should you have people in the car? Should you have your kids in the car? We're going to look at both sides of this story. And then we're also going to look at what some groups are jumping on this particular story, what their thoughts are, and we're going to be breaking it down for you today. Now, when you're doing rideshare, there's nobody that's allowed in the car besides you as the driver, because all the other seats are eligible for other people to sit in normal times. But during the pandemic, the front seat is supposed to be open and nobody's sitting there to create the maximum amount of space between the driver and the potential riders. Delivery is a little bit different because the only thing that you're taking is food. And it could be a couple of orders if the orders are stacked, but sometimes it's just one order, maybe two at the most, so it doesn't take up a lot of room. And they don't have the same restrictions when it comes to having people in the car. So a San Francisco delivery driver decided to take his children with him when he was online because it's his only source of income and he can't afford childcare. Now, you don't hear the story of the kids getting kidnapped and carjacked all too often, but what you do hear a lot of the time is that drivers are out there and they're not making necessarily sometimes minimum wage because of the way it's set up in terms of being an independent contractor versus an employee and getting an hourly rate. Now, Prop 22 in California, where this is, defines time of being 120% of the minimum wage. Once you hit the accept on the delivery, that's when it's technically considered active time. So you could be waiting for a delivery to come in and not getting paid at all for that and don't fall under the Prop 22 guidelines or even getting paid elsewhere in the country because it's just non-active time. And some stories will not go without labor groups and legislators jumping on and saying, well, this is the problem with the gig economy and it's the company's fault for this happening. When in fact, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but they're also using the opportunity to try to exploit this and also gain more momentum to fight these companies as best as they can. So now let's break it down from both sides. One, we're going to look at what these pro-labor groups, what these legislators are saying. These are the people who wanted AB5. They were in favor of creating an employee situation when it came to these gig workers and what they're saying, as well as the other side, like what these companies are saying. Lorena Gonzalez, who pretty much penned AB5 before Prop 22 nullified it, wrote on Twitter and said, facts. 1, gig workers make too little to afford childcare while they work. 2, Prop 22 allows billion-dollar corporations to deny any responsibility or have to provide any relief to workers traumatized on the job. 3, this is the future of work model pushed by far too many. And then Gig Workers United said there's no promise of any payment at all when workers are on the clock the rest of a shift, a plan that means that delivery workers can make far less than minimum wage if orders aren't being placed. That income issue is why folks like Fang must work as their kids ride in the back, as since DoorDash pays workers below minimum wage, this leads to workers and their families not able to afford childcare. Now, again, this is the side that is arguing for employee-employer-like relationship when it comes to gig workers in the gig economy, where it would offer certain benefits and protections that are not the same as independent contractors face in today's climate. Now, on the flip side of the coin, many people argue that being an independent contractor and a gig worker means that you're able to go on and off when you choose. You can choose how much you want to make, when you want to go out, and then if you're in California, under certain Prop 22 protections that these companies have put together. Now, DoorDash has come out and said workers in San Francisco earned on average more than $39 per hour in January, and they're trying to prop up Prop 22, which is something that was enacted, and it says that they offer folks like Fane a minimum earnings guarantee of 120% of the pickup location's minimum wage for active time on the platform. That is the time you're on a delivery starting from when you accept it. So of course, they're trying to say that you can go out and make as much as you want, depending on how often you go out. And there are certain protections that are in place because of things like Prop 22. Now, let's look at what the driver had said. And he said that he had no other choice but to take his kids as he makes DoorDash deliveries, as the job doesn't pay enough to allow him to afford childcare. He also says, as a gig economy worker, the money stops the minute you stop working, and the pay is already low enough as it is. You're not obligated to work more than you want, but in order to make ends meet, there are only certain hours good enough for you to really be out there, which is why he's working in the evening food delivery hours, which is the most lucrative ones for app-based drivers, with his kids in tow. Now, there's always going to be arguments on both sides saying that these companies are only making money based on the hard work and effort that drivers, delivery drivers, and other gig workers are putting in at their expense versus the company's expense. And the companies themselves are only profiting off of these exploited workers. And then there's the other side that again says that you're able to go on when you want, where you want, how you want, and you can earn as much as you want or as little as you want. And it's pretty much up to you. And then you're on your own. There's a lot of varying degrees in between. Now, I'm not sure how many people are driving with their children in the car while they're delivering, but if you are, try to have somebody else in the car with them so that they're not alone at any time, especially when you're going to drop off food or even picking it up at the restaurant. It's always good to make sure that kids are always being watched. And unfortunately, in today's climate, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. And this driver found out the hard way. And luckily the kids were found and nothing was wrong with them. They were all okay. And that is a very good thing. And I'm only imagining that the horror that the father had to go through during this. And there was a GoFundMe set up for this particular driver. Link will be in the description below. So if you want to help him out, then you can. Now, there is one big tip that I can help you with when it comes to being a gig worker and maximizing your effort. And that is making sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified every time a new video is uploaded from the Rideshare Guy, because there are new videos each and every single week coming out, and they're going to help you become a better rideshare driver and have good strategies in place. So it's going to help you maximize your earning potential when out on the road. All right, everyone, drive safe.